Should be live on there. Give me 2 seconds. Which we are. What's the weather like up your way anyway?
Wet.
Weather good, bad?
Winter, innit?
Do you get any snow or anything up there in Wales?
It was a bit mad. I think it was the same in near Worksop we were on the weekend. You'd get snow on the higher ground, and then a couple of 100 meters away, nothing at all. So, like the top of Merthyr, the road in was absolutely covered, and the bottom of Merthyr, basically from the ground down, had nothing.
We had literally panic buying in the shop that I work in on Sunday. It was just ridiculous. People coming in and said, "What are you panic buying for? There's no snow. It's only a bit of rain." Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? But
same,
they're all
same.
flying in there. Crazy stuff. Right, 2 secs. Well, welcome to the Reposs Non-League Show. We're back for another year in 2026. Where does time fly? But really pleased to say that joining me today is, well, the living legends of Wales. I forget all these Craig Bellamy's and all the rest of it. The living legends of Wales. Paul, of course, Paul and Craig, of course, from Merthyr. And Paul, it's fantastic to have you on. And well, things are going great, aren't they, mate?
Yeah, they're going really well. They're going really well. Thank you.
And Craig, I mean, you must be beaming. I know he spoke off here before Paul came on, but you must be beaming because, and I don't want that to be disrespectful, but surely you didn't expect to be where you are now at this stage.
No, I don't think anybody could have expected to be at this stage. But yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it.
So, I mean, one question I always asked at the beginning of the shows is like, is there anything you've seen, like, this week or anything else, or even over Christmas time that sort of took your eye of any sort of, we'll skip over, when I say transfers, we'll skip over the one that we all know about, but other transfers and other bits and bobs that have, maybe stories that come to light over Christmas that really took your eye?
I don't know. I'm really just a little bit wrapped up in what we do, I guess, and I don't take that much notice. And being in the north as well, we've almost had to be like that because we didn't know anything going in, and I think there's so much quality and so many. We'd have to learn so much so fast about all the other clubs and about we've just kind of just done our own thing and got on with things. I've seen there's been a lot of movement. Like one thing I did notice the other day was Hereford obviously lost a lot of players and they had a really limited bench on the weekend. So that was one thing that was interesting. I know one of them was Adam Rooney and a goalkeeper, and I think they only had like two other outfield players. So these type of things happen at non-league sometimes. So even at step two and yeah, we've just been, but I certainly have just been a little bit wrapped. I've been really busy at the moment. Obviously, everything that went on with Rick and then trying to find replacements and also, just looking at the squad that can give us the best chance of finishing as high as possible in the run-in. So just been wrapped up in us, really. I know it sounds a bit I don't know, maybe a bit self-centered or whatever, but that's the way it's been.
Mm. Craig?
Yeah, no, the thing is, as Paul said, we're a long way away from these clubs, so it's just
Mm,
whatever comes up on Twitter you tend to see,
mm.
all on their pages, but we don't really notice a great deal, to be honest, because I mean, it's not a lot we can do anyway. It's not, it doesn't, we just got to keep doing what we're doing, so tend not to pay that much attention, and just, when if someone has announced someone, we'll have a little look, but other than that, not really.
I think the biggest story, yeah, if we want to say down south, has sort of come over the last few days, and especially over the weekend from Friday onwards. And of course, a club that I used to do some work for, and another club sort of close to my heart, as such has gone into administration over the weekend in Harlow Town, which is a real shame for the fans down there. And I'm not going to go into what exactly has happened, and maybe we'll say that for another week, but what has happened, and you just feel sorry for those really loyal fans that turn up week in, week out, the likes of little Ray, as they call him, and others. And you know yes, okay, there's some celebrating because there's certain ones that don't like the owners and that were there before, but it is one of those situations where it's tough now. And all those loyal fans now are just sitting there waiting to find out from the administrators, and what comes next, and who's possibly going to go into to come in and take over the club, which must be horrendous for them. They've got their 10-point deduction today as well for going into administration, which pushes them a little bit further down the table. Not far enough to start worrying about the bottom end, but it's still a blow to them for their promotion hopes of getting back into to step four. I mean, difficult situations. I mean, have you ever been involved in anything like that where clubs have, or that you had anything to do with, have ever gone into administration?
Well, Craig probably has a lot to talk about from when his time as a player at Merthyr. I know they were obviously it was one of the times that they had financial difficulties. So we understand from the supporters and from the board and from the people who were involved at Merthyr, they understand
Mm,
exactly what those people are going through at the moment, and it's never nice, is it? I mean, the challenges of competing in non-league football these days are becoming more and more onerous in terms of time, but also in terms of financial resources. People having to raise money beyond gate receipts to compete because there's so many clubs that have investors and spend a lot of money these days. The amount of money right the way through the pyramid makes it really, really difficult to compete. And well, I think we're just going to see. It's always been there. There's always been clubs who have struggled, and there'll always be clubs who struggle again in the future. And I think possibly, the hope is that very few of these clubs remain gone forever. And even though it might be really, really difficult now, they'll be hopefully they'll whatever happens, hopefully the club can be saved. But even if it can't, I expect that there's a group of people there who will ensure the club rises again, and maybe we're a good example to the people going through that at the moment of eventually where you can get to, because obviously the club completely went under and reformed, and then had further financial difficulties a few years later and got through it and was mothballed during COVID, and now we're fighting at the top, well, the very, very top of semi-professional football and on the brink of professional football. So
mm,
hopefully, people can take heart from the many, many examples up and down the country that
mm,
football will continue and they'll rise again, I'm sure.
mm. What was it like, Craig, for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of tough moments up Merthyr, but we went through the same with a very difficult owner who ruined the club. We had to go and play further down the road in Taswells for a period of time, and drop right down the pyramid. So yes, it's very difficult. I mean, we are now supporter owned, and that's because of situations like that
Mm,
to try and avoid it. There's been lots of troubled times in the past with Merthyr, but as Paul said, with the right people and supporters who weren't prepared to let the club die as such, being able to move forward, and like you say, we're now flying at the top. So there's still going to be hope for them. There's a lot of work to be done, and there's going to be a lot of tough times ahead, I'm sure. But
mm,
like I say, with the right people, there's always a possibility of rising up through the pyramid. Even though you might not be able to see it right now, there
mm,
there will be that hope.
mm. I, I suppose should we start with Murphy? Should we get the elephant out of the room first, as the old saying goes, and start off with you know the incredible Mr. Ricardo Reese and I mean Paul, talk us through. Me and Craig talks about it on a regular basis, week in week out, and about what was going to happen, what possibly could happen, it's so and so. I mean, talk us through a little bit of the timeline with Ricardo, because I mean he some striker and some we've seen what he's done in his first game for Forest Green as well. I mean, talk us through that little bit of a timeline on where as the manager of the team you were maybe having to put jigsaw pieces into place to sort of cover that sort of loss of Ricardo.
Um, in football, things are constantly evolving and constantly changing. I think if you look at even though, Rick's been flying for the last couple of seasons and there's always been interest there.
Mm.
I think the big difference is that doing it in the Southern League consistently for a couple of seasons, people still question, they still see it as a big jump from the Southern League to professional football. And so I think when we stepped into the National League North, for him to then go and do it again, and to be fair to him, to do it at an even better rate than what he'd done the last couple of seasons, I think all of a sudden everybody kind of took note. I think that really ramped up towards the end of November. We'd been on a great run. He'd been scoring a lot of goals in November. And it became clear at that point really that someone, whoever it was going to be, was going to come in and have interest in him. And I know like lots of people say we use data and we've looked at this and looked at that, and they just looked at the goal scoring charts, let's be honest, all this data, and then you come in for the one that scored 25. Yeah, that's about the hardest interpretation of data you must have done all your career. Like so that we knew that was happening. I would go even further back really in that obviously all the goals that he scored over the last couple of years has always been interest, especially towards the top of non-league. And he's had financial offers to go elsewhere, good financial offers. Now, part of him going this January does come back to that because where he had such good offers in the summer and previously, it meant that we had to structure a deal for him in the summer in order to keep him, that there was an option for him to go for a release clause, during January. So it was, do you want to have Ricardo Reese now and keep him? Do you want to go into the National League North with a proven goal scorer who's been a big part of our team? Or do you not want to put that in and risk not having him at all? And so I'd go back right the way to that really as to the start of Rick's moving in January. And then we put a clause in that kicked in the January transfer window. We're, of course, governed by the transfer window, so we couldn't have it that he left in, some people will think, we have protected the club though, because we made it so that he came back in the summer. We made it so that he couldn't leave in October, November, December when we couldn't have replaced him because of the transfer window. And we got 25 goals out of him at the start of the season, and he's helped to put us where we are in the league now and give us the confidence that all the other players will continue with and continue to grow. So the end of November, then that like I said, he had a fantastic November, fantastic start to the season. That really ramped up, and it was more a case of, the way it works with that release clause, and agents are able to tell clubs what's in that release clause. The agents sharing that information, and it becomes more a case of who's gonna agree to deal with Rick, really, because there was a few clubs that came to us and did it properly. One on our level, which was very early on, and then the momentum just kicked in and it just snowballed, and a number of clubs came to us and we gave him permission to speak to him because obviously Rick's done a wonderful job for us. And so I wanted him, everyone knew what the release clause was, so it was up to Rick to choose what his destiny would hold, and we wanted him to have that opportunity. So anybody who spoke to us, we gave permission to speak to him anyway. And then I know it's football, there's a lot of other clubs that spoke to him. One manager near top of League Two said in a press conference he spoke to him on the phone. Well, we never heard anything about that, but
Was that Ian Holloway?
yeah, I take
Yeah,
that
I
as
saw
point.
that. Yeah.
Take that as and all that data they used, they're on the right lines. Yeah, all that data, 25 goals. Um, So we, it is what it is, and he had the opportunity to choose what was going to be the right option for him. And Forest Green was one of the clubs that came to us, and the manager spoke to me, Robbie spoke to me, and the club got in contact through the right channels all the way through, and they've managed to put together a package which has made him decide that that's where his future lies, and we all wish him every success.
And of course, he goes on. Was you like a? I know it's good. I don't mean the way this is going to sound the terminology I'm going to have to use, but was you like? Did you watch the game, or did you get a chance to see the game? The Forest Green when he played and scored the goals, and if so, were you sitting there sort of smiling to yourself like a proud dad?
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Everyone was looking to see. I know some of the supporters put bets on. We're trying to get first goal scorer bets on, and following the Forest Green result. The actual stadium announcer at Merthyr actually announced that Forest Green were 2-1 up and Ricardo Reis had scored 2 goals during the middle of our game, and we're in a narrow 1-0 lead with about 15 minutes to go. And there's a bit of a mixed reaction to that, and obviously we don't want that to happen again. But the outpouring of love for Ricardo from all the supporters, I can see how the announcer felt that he wanted to share that news with everybody at that time, because everybody supports him, everybody wants him to do well. We all looked for the goals when we came off, sent him messages, all players, all staff would have, I'm sure, loads of supporters would have. So yeah, we don't want it to go quite so far as announcing all his goals in the ground again while we're trying to win games ourselves. But everyone was following it, and everyone was absolutely delighted for him. And there'll be more to come from him, I'm sure.
It's quite funny you say that though, because I got some dirty looks as well when I was sitting there at the Wolverhampton Abbey game when I let out a yes as well. So when I saw that he'd actually scored, so it was quite funny.
I was really really chuffed for him, and to see him like singing at the end with the supporters and everything was brilliant. So it was you're just proud. You are just proud. You are proud of what he's achieved, and you're just delighted for him, because there's a lot of pressure as well, isn't there? And when you're being talked about as, well, we need a goal scorer, we need a goal scorer. This is the man that's going to do it. There is a lot of pressure in that situation. So I'm delighted he's got off to a good start. I know he won't really feel pressure. I know he'll believe in his ability and go and do the business.
And not, I mean, it's a question for both of you. The only thing I would say about I was quite surprised he wasn't, sort of taking up an opportunity. Either he got that opportunity or he didn't get the opportunity to go a lot higher in sort of championship level and that sort of stuff. I was very, because everybody was talking about him sort of December wise. Every time I turned on YouTube, every time I turned on X, Facebook, there was just constant people talking about him, like from all sort of types of clubs across the country. So I was quite surprised that he went to Forest Green and didn't go, I don't know, I'm just picking names out of the hat, but maybe like an Ipswich or somewhere at that sort of, level. Was you? I mean, was you expecting him to go a lot higher or?
I don't know. At the age, I think he's just turned 26. I think Ipswich, like as an example, fighting for the Premier League, they're probably not looking for to take a risk on a goal scorer from National League North. And that's probably the reality of the situation. I think he had lots of interest from League One and League Two. I'm not going to talk for Rick. I'm not going to
No.
speak for him at all. But possibly some of the factors that would have come into those were some of the situations that the clubs are in. Some of the clubs are maybe short-term managers, maybe managers that are not going to be there for a while, maybe clubs at the bottom of leagues who maybe are not creating too many chances, maybe the pressure on a player stepping up 2 or 3 levels at that point might not be the right environment for the next step and to thrive. Also, location might have played a factor in terms of being based in Newport and Forest Green being somewhere that he could get to without moving or without being in digs. And look, these are possible factors for it. And I know that Forest Green look, they're a club that are investing in, for example, their training infrastructure. They've got fantastic facilities there, and the deal that they would have put it together for him, I'm sure, would have been attractive. So there's all sorts of factors in it. Like it will hopefully, Rick, will the moves that you kind of talked about. Hopefully, this is another stepping stone for him, and he goes and scores goals at this level, and then he makes the next move again in the future.
Mm. I mean, I know my brother was gutted because he wanted him at Leighton Orient, and I must admit, the way things are going at the minute, I think I would have taken him at my club instead of Galcrest.
He would 100% score more goals in that Arsenal team than
Well, I mean, I mean, Craig, of course, you know well as well. I mean, it was inevitable, I suppose, that he was going to move on, and I mean, personally for yourself, I mean, you must have been gutted to see him go,
Yeah, I think
even though he was going to, moving
e-
up.
everybody would have been disappointed to lose a player who's going to score those goals and with his qualities, and he's a good person as well. You know, he's a good boy around the changing rooms, and his attitude is first class. He looks after himself really, really well. Uh, Missed very few games over his time at Merthyr because he looks after himself so well, in terms of his gym habits, in terms of his diet. But yeah, look, everybody was disappointed to lose him. However, as Paul said there, everybody's really pleased that he's had that move. He deserves to have an opportunity, and hopefully he can kick on and score a lot of goals with Forest Green, and whether that be move up the pyramid with them or maybe it will be, another move in the future for him. But yeah, everybody is really pleased for him and is hoping that he does really kick on and do well.
So, well, we spoke about Ricardo, but Ricardo being the prince, and of course yourself, Paul, being the king of Merthyr. I mean, I've had
King
this,
Kev.
I've had this conversation with Craig and all the rest of it. Are you the next one to be moving into the pro game? Because what you're doing for Merthyr Town, I don't want to see you move from Merthyr Town. I want you to see you stay all the time because I want to see you getting up into league football with you in charge because I think that's a massive possibility. But I mean, is it a situation now where people are looking, going, oh, hang on a minute, Paul Michael down at Merthyr, what a manager he is, and all of a sudden, you're turning up. I don't know. Where do you want to turn up at? Old Trafford. It's a nice job going down there.
Yeah, I do a great job there, if I'm honest. And I'm a Man United supporter, so I 100% would do a great job there. But maybe I should send my CV. I'm not. When me and Smudge and we came and Craig joined us at that point, and we decided to come to Merthyr, we knew that the opportunity was there for us to fulfill our ambitions at Merthyr Town. And the club, we've already shown that's rung true really, in that the average gate's now at like 1,600 when it was like 450. Like that's unbelievable change, and it just shows that Merthyr is a football town, and the Welsh Valleys has so much talent. There's so much footballing talent. I think, like in some areas, I look at it and there's so many clubs that it can become really difficult. I know, look, London's a really densely populated place, as an example, and you look how many clubs are around there. Everyone's pulling and pushing for players. I think in South Wales, Swansea and Cardiff have got a real monopoly on. There's so much talent, and I think therefore that there's a lot of talent that will leave those clubs that will can be pulled upon, and could take a club to the higher. I think we can go higher again. So look, we are pushing and punching above our weight in terms of current resources because we're fan owned and there's a structure at the club which ensures that it's never going to go bust again. But it means that we're really limited in terms of what we can spend right now. But if you look at the potential of the club and the direction that it's going, I think there's still huge potential here. And maybe we can go hybrid, maybe we can go full time, maybe we can take this club into the National League. And that would be the ideal situation for me, really, because it's on my doorstep. It's somewhere that I'm really passionate about and really thoroughly enjoyed working. And I guess that would be the dream really, imagine taking a club, being a South Wales boy and patriotic. Imagine taking another Welsh club into the Football League, like even if it was 10 years, even if it was, how amazing that would be. And I think that's what we're focused on doing at the moment, and just finishing as high as we can and seeing if we can do do something incredible this season. Like we got no right to be, like you said, we didn't know where we were going to be at the start of the season. We had no idea, we didn't know if Rick was going to score 10 goals, let alone in a whole season, let alone 25 by the end of November, by the end of December. So we didn't know how many points we were going to get. It was a step into the complete unknown. And we're in there and we're in amongst those full-time teams and we're having a great time. We're playing some fantastic football, top goal scorers all across step two. And we just got to try and keep it going. And that's what we're focused on at the moment.
And all these Welsh clubs as well, around near you as well, of course, in Wales, all been taken over by superstars, aren't they? Ryan Reynolds at Wrexham, and was it Snoop Dogg? Is it going in Cardiff or Swansea or
Well,
wherever it is? And somebody, it's like you might be the next one off the rank. You never know.
that's
David
what we
Beckham
need.
might be.
That is what we need. That is what we need. If there's any investors watching, the non-league show this evening, over in America or anywhere in the world, Merthyr would be a great place to invest, I think. As long as the first thing they do is not sack the manager and bring in new full-time professional people.
I mean, the other name now, of course, I mean, the squad, that you've actually you've put together is absolutely outstanding. So, but I mean, before we go on to some names that I keep seeing constantly on there, when you sat down with your management team and when you sat down with the board and all the rest of it, after the promotion and that died down, and then you got this massive sort of like haunting thing of the Enterprise North with names, team names that are just ridiculous that are in there, ex league teams. What was the conversation and how have you planned, Merthyr to be sitting third in that table, only behind South Shields and FC Fine? What was that pre-season talk like? Because everybody I speak to, everybody that comes on here, if you have players that come on here, Craig that comes on here, or anybody I speak to, they just wax lyrical about you constantly. So what is it that you've put together? I mean, what was the meeting like when you had the players in and so forth to plan for this, what's turning out to be an historic, season for you so far?
Well, it's all a bit of a blur really in the summer. Like you win the league, that goes almost to the wire. We managed to do it with a game to spare, 2 games to spare really, because of goal difference. And the way the club works is like there hadn't been that much long-term planning into what if we go up, um, because the club was still looking to bring in sponsors for this season, and then you're almost waiting on a little bit of what we did there. And it's something where the club's really conscious of moving forward is that we want it to be better in terms of long-term planning. But by you get to the end of the season and didn't quite really know what we were going to have. Um, Still not really happy with what we got. You always want more as a manager. But what we did know in terms of the group of players is that we knew we had a fantastic group of players that we wanted to keep. And we thought, you never know because I've not been involved in this league before. People talked about the differences between the North and the South and do they exist? And we don't know. But what I did know is that we had a really good group of football players. And I felt that if we kept them together, that we could be competitive in this league as a minimum. So that was the first thing then was to, having spoke with Craig and Smudge and the management team, was just to try and keep as many of the boys as possible. I think one decided to move on, whereas the rest of the boys committed to it. We managed to bring Lewis back, which was big for us. We got Jay permanently, where we'd had him on loan at the end of the season. So it was really positive. And then when you come to meeting with the players, it was a massive step into the unknown. But the first thing that we put up, I was really conscious throughout the summer, psychologically, especially when we were rumored to be going in the north, which was coming towards the end of last season. I was really conscious of the message that we put out as staff, as a management team, as a football club, to the challenges that lay ahead, really. Because if you look a few years ago, I think St Albans went up to step two, and they were put in the north. And from the moment that they went up, it was this is going to bankrupt the club. We can't afford it. Players are not going to recruit players, not going to get this, not going to do that. And then it ended up that was the case. That ended up becoming true. They couldn't recruit the right players. They ended up going back down with significantly low amount of points. So what I was really conscious to do was to say, look, our home ground's not moving, boys. And, yes, we'll be traveling, but we'll be doing it properly. We'll step in towards professional football. We're going to be playing against, we've had some brilliant games already. Macclesfield away on a Tuesday night. Crystal Palace can't beat them, but Merthyr Town can.
I was going to say that.
They were great on the day as well when we beat them. By the way, they're a club full of good people, and they've done really really well. And that win the other day was, I said it on X. I think that's the biggest upset ever. The Holders going out to a National League North team. They've done amazing, but like for us to go there and win was amazing for us. And we've had some great nights. The win against South Shields at home on a horrible night, and this is what we made it a conscious effort to ensure that we knew what we were looking forward to as well. So that was the first thing over the summer, to ensure that we gave the right message to the supporters, to players, and that we're always going to be looking up. That's the way I work. We're always going to be looking positively forward, regardless. I don't really believe in barriers, financial or whatever. I think you can do whatever you set out to achieve. And we decided that we wanted to do really well in this league. And in the first meeting with the players, we actually put on a target which involved being very, very close to the top of the league. So we made that a goal straight away. And what's happened in the first half of the season has just cemented that belief that we can really go on and do something now.
Mm. So I mean, with the season going and so forth, we're still in that sort of transfer window as well. Are you still looking to bring more people in, into the club to try and just make, get a few more in to make it a little bit more of a squad for you, going into that, just in case of injuries, etc., going into that last part of the season?
Yeah, I think we've got to have the right number of players in the squad. However, we've got real quality in the squad already. I think you've seen that. We saw that on the weekend. Corey Cox scoring a hat trick. He's someone that's been developing with us. We picked him up from step five, and he's been developing with us for a period of time. So, like that's an example. We've got some wonderful players here. We can talk about a number of them, but we've got some fantastic players, and we don't need to get anything. But if the right players are there to strengthen us, then we'll look to bring them in, and they have to be the right people to come in with the boys who've been together for a while now. And uh, whether do we need any? Probably not, I don't think, but we're open to bringing in, a couple more players if they're going to improve us.
You got the best goalkeeper in the north.
Yeah, yeah, we've got north or south.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cogs is having a brilliant season. We got loads of fantastic players. He's definitely one of the best shot stoppers and sweeper keepers in the league. His short distribution's excellent as well. So yeah, he's a fantastic goalkeeper.
He's good on here as well. Whether he's popping around Craig's house or not, he's a great lad. So I mean, going back to Ricardo, Ricardo's now gone. So who have you brought in, just for people that may not know, who's now taken that shirt and also as well, did you have to then sort of put your arm around that person and say, look, forget about who's not here anymore. You're my man now.
No, I don't think so. I think the boys all know, like they know that we believe in them. We're a team. Like Ricardo wouldn't have scored all those goals, but for all the other players around him. Now, he's a big part of the team, but equally the same as everybody else. He's the one who got to put the ball in the net. And in a way, he's the fortunate one, because for all this data that all the teams are using, he's the name that goes on the score sheet at the end of all those brilliant moves. So when you play out from the back and you work it all the way through midfield, and then someone picks a wonderful final pass and puts him in. Rick does his job in terms of the finish, does it very, very well. But his success is also our success, and therefore we've still got everybody else that made those goals happen.
Mm.
So look, somebody might not score quite as many as Rick. Someone might score different types of goals to Rick. But we've still got everything else that created us those opportunities. So we'll still create them, and someone else will have the opportunity to score them.
Yeah, I think what I meant by that was that, does the young man that's come in to replace, in the squad, do you know, do you feel that he feels like he may be under a little bit of pressure, or do you just feel like he just that, they've slotted it straight in?
No, Tate that we've brought in on loan from Luton, looks a similar profile of player. So that's kind of what we were looking for. Like we played Corey Cox and Cole Jarvis up front on the weekend, partly because of the physical threat that Worksop brought in terms of long throws, set pieces. We still conceded three from crosses, two from set pieces, mind. Um, but we've got our profile of player in the squad already. So we thought, there's an opportunity to bring somebody in who's a little bit more of a running behind, a more run at people type of player, to make sure that we've got lots of different options in the squad. And we think he's someone who's going to contribute to the squad. So we're looking forward to working with him. We haven't seen much of him yet, but the feeling that we get from everything that we've looked at suggests that he's going to be the right kind of fit for us. And in terms of pressure, I was a little bit like, right, I don't really want to give anyone a number 10 right now, if I'm honest, because of that pressure that you mentioned. But in a couple of conversations with Craig and with Smudge, and Smudge was of the opinion, yeah, give it to him, it'll give him a boost, whatever. And so what I did was I just texted him all the numbers that were available. And to be fair to the kid, he said, I know there's a lot of big pressure, I know there's big boots to fill, but I believe I can do it. I want the number 10. So I love that. Like, I'm happy with that confidence. So we gave it to him, and let's see if he rocks it between now and the end of the season.
Craig, I mean, talk to us a little bit about the governor. I mean, he's tactical now, so he's second to none, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think myself or anybody else, you can't speak highly enough of him and what he's done. And it's not just the results. It's the brand of football. It's the way he conducts himself. There's a whole lot more than what you see on a Saturday afternoon goes into it. I know that he lives and breathes football and is always thinking of what our plan is going to be throughout the week. And look, I can't speak highly enough of him in terms of football, but there's another side of the Paul that I get to see week in, week out, and that's the human personal side of Paul, and that goes a long way as well. And that's why players want to play for him. I will run through brick walls for him. So look, the supporters and everybody watches from afar will look on a Saturday and see things there, but there's a lot more to it that goes on. And as a manager, someone who's leading that club, it's not just when you turn up on a Saturday. There's a lot more work that goes into it than that. So we finished the season last season, and I can tell you now that Paul's thoughts are straight on to the plans for next season and how we were going to go about that. And look, he's done an unbelievable job, and I think that will continue. And we talk about the players, the likes of Rick and all these players, but they won't be able to do what they've done without his management and leadership. And I think everybody that works with him and has worked with him will speak very, very highly of him and the job that he does there. So yeah, no, it's been a very good. Was it? I think this is the fourth season now, and I see no reason why it's not going to continue in that vein at the moment.
I was just trying to look for. Oh, that's the one I'm looking for. Uh, we, as you know, Craig comes on every week, and we chat Murph every week and
Great
so forth.
hosts, great hosts.
The one thing the one thing I wanted to ask you when you came on, because we spoke about it at the time, and it's going back right away back to the 2nd of September. Where did the tactical nous come in what you did with Tom Hanley on that day?
What day, sorry?
The 2nd of September against Macclesfield, when Tom gets a hat trick. And where was the technical nous to do, to change his position in the way that you did to actually manage? What did you see in that game? And that's why I'm saying such a, technical genius that you seem to be, that you found something there and you thought, well, that's what I can, we can actually damage them by doing it like that. I mean, where does that sort of come from? Is that just from you watching videos of them? Is that watching just the style of play that they had on the day?
No, there was no tactical nous. There was no tactical genius. That was just Tom Handley being a genius of a football player. That's what that was. Two absolute wonderful free kicks, and he's gone on with the determination. And he's probably annoyed. I was going to use another word there. He's annoyed that he's been left out, and so he's gone and attacked the ball in the box from a set play really, really well. There were a couple of little tweaks that we made. We tweaked system. We went back to our diamond. We weren't using it at that point. We went back to our diamond and we pushed Lewis Twamley out as a split striker, but Lewis didn't play in our usual position as a split striker. When Lewis plays there, he drifts right out to the touchline. So then that allows Tom Handley, rather than going on the outside, that allows him to invert. And he actually played really, really well in that role. And a couple of seasons ago, we used him as a marauding centre back actually, and he arrived in the box. And or from right back, we used to give him the license to go and hit the box, and he scored like 20 goals. So we know he's got that. He had a shot on the weekend which was parried and allowed Corey Cox to score. We know Tom's got that ability, but like that wasn't necessarily tactical genius or anything like that. That was just Tom Handley being a wonderful football player and scoring some fantastic goals when he went on. And the two set pieces that he scored, I mean, I think that's two out of about 260 now that he's taken. Like, so it just so happened that they both fell on the same day, but they were wonderful strikes. And he came on and played really well. And there's loads of examples up and down the league where boys have been left out and they've reacted positively. And in our team that happens a lot because the boys we've recruited are great characters. And that's part of, like, I get really, I don't know, I get a little bit embarrassed a little bit when like Craig was talking the way he was then, because for me it's about distributed leadership. It's about everybody as a group. Craig's an enormous part of what we do, and the way that he conducts himself with the players, the conversations that he has one-to-one with players, the way that his passion comes through in trying to look after them, all that um, builds the players' perception and their confidence and the environment that we've created. And it's the players and all the staff that have created this. And just in the same way as Rick was a part of that, I'm just a part of that. And sometimes I feel like, the plaudits come my way when actually is absolutely everybody is equal in the success that we've created.
What was it like then getting praise from Robbie Savage?
I don't know. Maybe that was just because I gave him a little bit of praise. He has said privately that we'll have a friendly as well, so he'll get a little bit more praise as long as that comes to fruition and they stick to that. At our place, one of the first pre-season friendlies of the season next year. So um, hopefully that doesn't happen because we're in the same league. But if that's the type of thing we can start to dream about now. But no, I hope he was really good. Like, Robbie contacted me, he spoke to me loads of times, he spoke to Rick loads of times. And coming back to it, maybe that was part of it with Rick's decision, like that the manager was really wanting them. I know that he went to a couple of clubs and felt like the manager was seeing his clips for the very first time right in front of him. Like, so there's all sorts of factors that might have come into that decision, but the way that Robbie conducted himself on that was the way that I would want to conduct myself. I would want to speak to people properly. I would want to go through the right channels, and so, he deserved that little bit of praise from us, and it's always nice hearing him speak positively about Merthyr as well as myself too, because he's such he's a Welsh legend at the end of the day. I remember sitting in the Millennium Stadium when he dislocated his thumb and ran off the pitch and put it back in and ran back on. So look, it's nice to be speaking to these kind of people, and this is the world that Merthyr Town is moving towards, I guess.
One last question on that young man that's no longer with you. Going to Forest Green and being under a Welsh manager, what chances then that there could be a little competition at the end of the year or the end of the season, and he could be part of that?
What conversation?
I mean, is there
What,
a
for Wales?
yeah?
No, it's not going to happen, is it? He's not going to pick somebody from National League. Craig Bellamy's shown in, you know,
I'm
he
just
can.
thinking of the Robbie Savage effect. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Is he,
he's
is he
not
going to
going to
get
take
to his
he's
former
not
club?
going to take any notice of that. Like he's not going to take any notice of that. And Rick, like I'm not saying that could never happen for Rick. It could happen for if he scores goals and moves again, he'll get in on form because Craig Bellamy will pick him,
Mm.
but he's not going to pick somebody from the National League. And that's the way it's going to go. Rick's going to have to keep working, do it again, and do it again. And he's gonna have to get there the hard way. And then, maybe one day, who knows? But
Not even if he scores 20 goals between now and the
nah,
end of the season? No?
not gonna happen, is it? No.
Shall I clip it and then if when he gets announced in the team, we'll play it back?
Yeah, you'll be more than welcome. We'd have a little
But I mean,
side bet. We'd have a little side bet on that as well if you want.
but no, I mean this year so far it's been fantastic for Murphy. You've had a couple of dodgy results in there and so forth. But let's look on the fun side of it. Is there highlights for you so far this season that maybe it might be a coach trip, it might be something that happened in the dressing room, it might be something that happened on the pitch, like a training session or whatever. What is there two or three things that might have happened this season so far that have really made you smile and you've had a real good laugh about it? I mean, one thing that comes to mind, and Cogs kept going, he has said to me about it twice. I know Craig spoke to him about, the players all hopping onto a golf cart and going to the loo, in a golf a golf course. I mean, certain stuff. Has there been things? I mean, I know Craig, loved his trip to Telford and wants to go back there. What is there anything there for you?
For me, sorry,
Yeah, I mean, have you had some, take away the pressure of the games? I mean, has there been stuff that that's been a sort of long lasting memory so far for you?
yeah, I think Cogs jumping on the golf buggy and going into the clubhouse for the loo while I'm ringing round trying to find a local bus company in wherever we are to try and get us the last 50 minutes of the journey to Kings Lynn, and then arriving there and getting absolutely battered and going 2-0 down within the first 10 minutes. These are things you're going to look back on when you're older, and you have a good laugh about them. And yeah, that one is definitely one that sticks in the memory. I think South Shields at home was an interesting one in that, like, I think they traveled down on the Monday, trained on the Monday, stayed over Monday night. I think we'd heard that they might have done something light on Tuesday morning as well. And then obviously arrived to the game in good time. We, on the Tuesday night down at Merthyr, I don't know if we could fulfill that fixture in the reverse, if I'm honest. I gotta be honest. With some of the, Smudge and I are teachers, number of people, I don't know if they'd get out of work, but yeah, we arrived, and obviously Sunday you kind of trying to spend a bit of family time, but then every moment you got, you're trying to review your own game from the Saturday. Then Monday you go work. I think I had a fixture after school. So by the time I got back, seeing the kids, put them to bed, then I was on to South Shields and doing a bit of digging on them. Obviously, we already had a little bit straight after the game on Saturday. We tried to plan for the game ahead. Then I was into school on the Tuesday, another fixture after school. I remember being away, I'd driven the bus and I was like trying to grab the boys up. Boys, come on, I got a game tonight. I got to get up to Merthyr. And just dragging them away, driving as quick as I could then within the, speed limit to Merthyr. And then arriving, and then we're waiting to do the team meeting, and Noah's late from Bristol through traffic, and Rick's late from not doing a lot in the day and not having enough to travel. Rick managed to be late as well, and so we went through a game plan on a tiny screen in our academy room, which they use to sell cans during the game, right? So during the game they sell cans out of the academy room, but we kind of move all those cans to one side and we set up a load of chairs, and that's the only place that we can have a meeting with a TV before the game, right? So, because our changing rooms have this massive pillar right in the middle, so we used a bit of video and we gave across a team plan in about 10 minutes, about 50 minutes before kickoff. and all that preparation and planning that they'd had, we managed to execute the game plan and win 3-1. So that was one that was, quite funny when you look at it, like with people arriving late, 10 minutes, here's the game plan, boys, 10 minutes in an academy room where they sell cans out of, and then we went and beat a professional football team. So there's loads of little things like that, and barriers that you have to overcome, but they're not excuses, and they're just good things that you can look back on and with pride in the future, I guess.
Mm. Craig, I mean, other than your Telford trip, any other ones that you've really enjoyed?
Yeah, look at Macclesfield away. I think everybody will enjoy that. As Paul said, that South Shields one was very enjoyable. But to be honest, our bus trips home are always good, especially when we've won the game. We've got a good little group at the front of the bus, and it's a very enjoyable trip home. And I don't think you appreciate that side of it, and I don't think we will until it's kind of ended. And in years to come, you look back and I miss those bus trips, even though you won't believe that now with all the traveling we're doing on those buses. It is. I say to people, the bus we go on is a very, very good, nice bus, and you sat around the table having a little drink and some one or two snacks on the way back, and it's like being in a pub with your mates on a Saturday. To be honest, we'll have the music on, we'll have the football on, and if you wasn't there, you'd be down the pub doing the same with your mates, just enjoying yourself and having a good laugh. So I think little things like that. I think they're the things that you look back on in years to come, and obviously the victories. I don't know if we appreciate enough right now, but I think in years to come we look back and go, yeah, there were some real good times there.
Mm.
Yeah, the Craig's right. Like I saw earlier in the season, obviously there was the stuff at Bracknell where the Bracknell manager was saying about him not having a pint after the game and stuff like that. And I was thinking, well, we've won the Southern League and we're third in the National League North on fueled by celebrating wins. Like I think that's a part of the camaraderie that we've built. Now, most of the boys actually don't drink, and they're really, really professional, but that doesn't come from some non-negotiable from us. That comes from them wanting to be the best that they can be. And like Craig said, those trips on the way home, they do have, they have a couple of nights out, and on those then they'll have a few drinks on the way back. But people said, about the traveling in the National League North, and how are you gonna do it all? And I'm like, well, hang on, so I'm gonna get on the bus in the morning. We're gonna have food for us. We've got a kitchen on there. We've got, Sky Sports on there. We're gonna win a game of football, and then on the way back, there's two live games, and I'm sat around the table with my mates, having a drink, celebrating, our week's work. So it is really good fun, and I really enjoy everybody's company on there. And like Craig said, it's probably things you wouldn't get to do if you were at home. Actually, I'd probably be, at home a little bit more. I don't go out, or that's my release. That's what I enjoy doing, and those trips are really, really good fun.
Mm. Well, I think there'd be, and I mean, Craig has spoken a few times, but I think there'll be one man that'll be what he's watching down and loving every single minute of the success, and probably being your 12th man all season, anyway, Mr. Hughes, and I mean, he must be buzzing. Do you think,
Yeah,
Craig?
I'm sure he's looking down
Yeah.
and very, very proud. And I know that Anthony was very similar in terms of he enjoyed the camaraderie of the trips,
Mm.
and he would have loved this adventure. And I'm sure he's looking down and enjoying it from above for sure.
So, I mean, you've got games coming up, but you've got a big game camp as well, and you're going to be on the TV soon as well, aren't you? On Duzan? Is that the 10th of Feb? Is that the Kidderminster game? Isn't it away?
Yeah,
Yeah, Tuesday night, I think,
Yeah.
I think it's a Tuesday night game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that'll be one that people look forward to. We could take and watch it with us being away, but I'm sure we'll also take a good following away to that game as well. Because Saturday we had a good following come away. That's a good trip for them Saturday, and they certainly enjoyed themselves and made themselves heard throughout the game Saturday. So I'm sure we'll take a good following. But for those who can't travel, it'll be nice for them to be able to sit at home and watch it and cheer us on from home. So yeah, it just helps raise a profile and things as well. So it's nice one that we can look forward to.
can they watch it? The price of that is own? I don't
Yeah,
know.
fair point. Yeah, yeah,
Unless
yeah,
they got a dodgy Fire Stick in
yeah,
it. Every
Well,
game's
yeah,
a
fair
big
point.
game, David. Every game's a big
no,
game. Saturday's
absolutely.
a big game.
No, absolutely. I mean, so Peterborough this weekend. I mean, it's going to be another cracking game and another sort of well, heavy crowd coming in there. Do you think at the weekend?
Hopefully, I think I was really, really pleased. Obviously, the Hereford game we had 4,000, but you kind of you really even when it came out at the beginning of the season, you hoped we'd have a big crowd for that festive gate and everyone coming out. And the fact that it wasn't a bank holiday or a that did make you think, will we sell as many tickets? But we it was awesome. The atmosphere was fantastic. We were gutted we couldn't see that game out and win the game for the supporters. But then I was really what I was most impressed with was then just a few days later when it was absolutely freezing, we had another 1,600 in there, and that's what we need. We need to keep growing that average throughout the season, which I'm sure will happen with some big games towards the back end of the season. But right now, you've touched on Rick moving on a couple of times during this show, and right now our supporters are absolutely huge for us. On Saturday, when we went 2-0 down, they were singing, they were having, really getting behind us. When we got pegged back to 3-3, they again got behind us. And so right now, with the changes that have happened, we need everybody to come out and support us. So hopefully we can get another good crowd. Because every single game in this league is a challenge. The Hereford game's an example of that. They got good players, they're physical, and if you're not perfect or you're close to that on a day, then we'll get turned over by anyone. We can beat anyone in this league. We can get turned over by anyone. So, we need the supporters to come out, get behind us, put pressure on officials, go up when there's a decision in the box, and really make it an intimidating atmosphere for the opposition. So hopefully they come out again on Saturday and we get another good crowd.
I mean, you just said there, Paul, about the end of the season, and I've just got the fixtures in front of me, and it's a bit of a oh my days when you see those last sort of fixtures. South Shields away, Marine away. You got Oxford City at home, Hereford away, and then you go Macclesfield at home, Scarborough away, and Flying at home.
Yeah, well, we'll just
What
see
it's
where
all
we're
about,
at,
though.
won't we? Like it's a tough run in. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that, but we'll worry about that when we get there.
But that's what you want, though, isn't it? As a manager, you want those games. That's what you deserve to have those games with the performances
So
from.
you've got to play them all, haven't you? You've got to play them
Yeah.
all twice, so it don't matter when you play them. Like, um, we every game's difficult. We just take a game at a time and we play them all. What order you play them in doesn't matter. Um, it's the same for everyone. And so by the end of this, we'll worry about that at the end of the season. I haven't looked at that yet because it's so far off. But you're right. It's a tough run in.
So automatic promotion, is that what you're aiming for now?
Let's just try and beat. Let's just try and beat the Royal Saturday, is it? But why not? Why not? Why not? We could fall away massively. Um, but right now, what are we? 3 points off the top, and I've played a game more. And if you look at the last 20 games, we're the most informed team in the league. So if we're not looking at the top of the league right now, what are we doing? What's the point in being here?
Absolutely. Agree with that, Craig?
Absolutely, yeah. Look, and you're naming those teams, but I'm sure those teams are also thinking, oh, we got to go
Yeah.
to move there, or we got to play them in the season as well. So, it works both ways. And you're right, they're tough games, but as you say, they're all tough games in this league. They're very, very good sides in this league, and where we are, against these full-time sides and these sides we're hybrid with resources and what we have at our disposal is incredible. But I've said it on you before.
Mm.
The ages of the players we've got are all they're all at good ages, apart from Matthew, who is 362. The others are all at good ages and are developing still, which is frightening because they are so talented and they are so good. So, we can actually get stronger as we go on as well.
Mm. I think to finish with, somebody made a statement, and I saw it on a video on X, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they turned around and said something about your club, and I can't agree with them, and more with what they said. They turned around and said you step into Merthyr Town and you fall in love with the club, and the club actually makes you feel completely welcome as if you've been there for like 10 years or more. I won't say who said that, but I did see an interview, words to that effect, and he's spot on, absolutely spot on. An absolutely fantastic club. that's got some fantastic people in it, and it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you tonight, Paul. It really has. It's fantastic. And Craig, of course, as always, it's been fantastic speaking to you as well. And really do wish you all the very, very best because I'll be honest, as I've said to Craig on numerous occasions, I'm down with a season ticket watching Wolverhampton Abbey, and my eyes are glued to me X screen, waiting to see if you scored or not, and seeing how you're getting on at the same time and spreading it on. And I think you've got three guys that I actually sit with now actually ask me now how you're getting on in the during the game as it goes into a dull spot in the game. But a massive congratulations to where you are at the moment. Hopefully, it all continues and you become a National League side, Premier side at the end of the season. But a massive thank you to Paul, massive thank you to Craig. We'll be back next week. But until then, good night.